Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you for coming to my presentation of my collaborative action research study for my master's program. So this was a collaborative effort with myself, Kindy Solano, Megan Cedillo, Mary Roberts Gomez, and we're all over California with Concordia University. And so we did a study, and we were thinking of things that we wanted to implement into our classrooms. And one of the biggest areas of needs that we saw was writing. And so we decided to look into doing a writing intervention. And so what we did is we came up with two questions to look into. So our primary research question was, what impact will explicit writing instruction have on the academic achievement of 6th grade students in the area of writing? And so within our group, we had more access to middle school classrooms. So the study did take place in the 6th grade classroom within California. And so 27 students were involved in the study. We wanted to see with explicit writing instruction how that would affect their writing, and we were specific in that we wanted to see argumentative text structure. Our secondary question is, what effects will explicit writing instruction have on 6th grade students' sense of self-efficacy in the area of writing? We wanted to see how students felt about their writing, how they felt their peers viewed their writing, and how they felt their teacher and other adults in their lives viewed their writing. That was important to us as well. So before we began our study, we went through the literature on the topic of writing. And so I'm going to go through a few of the areas that we specifically looked at. We looked very closely at teacher-guided planning skills because we felt that in the primary grades, there's a lot of explicit modeling that happens that gets lost when we get up into middle school especially, and then into high school and into college, is that modeling sort of drifted off. And so we really looked into the research on that. Teacher modeling and teacher encouragement were proven to benefit students' writing from the very young age to all the way up through middle school and high school. And so we wanted to make sure that within our study we were providing that kind of modeling that was necessary. And so you'll see that in the intervention specialist did a lot of modeling with her writing. We also looked at evaluating text structure. With Common Core, we have a heavy emphasis on expository writing. And so we wanted to make sure that our students would receive instruction in the area of text evaluation, where they were looking at those expository texts and then evaluating their own writing to see how those compared. And then we looked at brainstorming as well. And this was especially to affect the students' self-efficacy, in that we wanted students to be a part of the process and a part of the prompt making process. So we wanted them involved in the type of writing they were doing and the topics that they were going to be writing about. And so obviously when you offer kids choice, they have a lot more buy-in into it, and the research supports that. We looked at outlining as well, and specifically we were using the program Step Up to Writing, which has a lot of great tools in it, but looking at 3 main types of outlining, one of those being the Step Up to Writing program, where we were looking at electronic outlining, mapping, and then cut-up outlining. And so we also, because of the Common Core, wanted to introduce a lot of 21st century skills. So with the electronic outlining, the students were able to do that online. And then when you look at mapping, that's sort of your traditional outline map. And then cut-up outlining is when you can have the kids take their outline and they can actually cut it up and move it around and organize it to make their piece of writing make more sense. Then we looked at student-led planning skills, and we wanted the students to be part of the process and also to be working with their peers. And so we put them in groups of 2 and 3. And then we go into peer editing and technology. And so we did a cloud-based application. We used Google Docs to do the writing. So none of the writing took place on pen and paper. It was all digital. And the classroom was able to support this with a 1-to-1 ratio of computers for the kids. So it was really great. And it was also really great because it created this really cool living document, and that we could see from week 1 to week 4, the changes and the edits are there too, where the teacher could provide feedback and their peers could provide feedback on those documents through Google Docs. And so that's where we get into feedback for accuracy and then for self-confidence. And this was interesting because we weren't really sure how the students would feel about having their peers look at their writing and then make comments on it. But you'll see later on we actually had some good results with that. So the intervention. So it was a 4-week intervention, and so with 27 students, and they had 4 days a week that they were involved in this intervention process for 1 period. This is middle school, and the periods of 50 minutes or so. And so in week 1 of the intervention, before we even began, the intervention specialist started with a survey to determine how the kids felt about their writing. And some of the questions were, do you think you are a good writer? Does your teacher think you're a good writer? Do you care what your parents think about your writing? Do you care about the grades you get in writing? And so we did a pre-survey to see how the kids felt. And then we also did a pre-write where the kids before that had brainstormed topics that they liked. The topic they chose was, should animals have rights? And so it was great because the students had a lot of buy-in into it. They're really interested in the topic itself. You know, should animals have rights? You know, what does that mean if animals have rights? What kind of rights do they get in comparison to humans? So they had a lot of interesting ideas to go into that. And without any instruction, the students were asked to write an essay on this topic. And then the intervention specialist for week 1 went through self-editing and talked about what we're looking at in editing, and she used that Step Up to Writing with that. So looking at, you know, punctuation, organization, spelling, and all of those things that go into self-editing. And then she also did a compare and contrast activity where she was reviewing argumentative text samples. So the students were given expository writing samples that they had to compare their writing to, and they were looking for specific things. They're looking for, well, how is my writing organized in comparison to this text sample? What does the sample have that my writing does not have? And the students had to look at that. And again, this is all with explicit modeling from the teacher. In week 2 of the study, the intervention specialist, the teacher, went through expository outlining and pre-writing. And she used a lot of the tools that are in the Step Up to Writing program. And so those are those mapping tools I was talking about. So where the students were asked to, okay, let's talk about pre-writing our essay and organizing. How should it look? We're writing. What should our opening be? What should our mid-level paragraphs be? And what would our conclusion be? And had the students really think about, well, how should this expository argumentative text be structured? And then the teacher also went through the 5-paragraph essay. So with this being 6th grade, that's what she wanted students to do, is create a 5-paragraph essay on the topic of should animals have rights. In week 3, the intervention specialist went through peer review instruction. And so the students were actually had interventions on how to work together in a pair or a triad. And so they went through what peer editing looked like, how that would look on the Google Docs program, because remember, this was not pen to paper, it was all digital. And it was nice because the teacher could go in and see exactly how the students were interacting, because she had access to everyone's document. So as a teacher, I thought that was really cool because she could go into the cloud-based application and go and look and see exactly what all of the kids were working on at that moment, so she could do it live. And then in week 4, as we finished up our study, again, they went through more self-editing, but then they went through reflection. How did they see their writing change from week 1 to week 4? And they actually were able to go back into Google Docs and look at what they had done in week 1 to what they were finishing up in week 4. And they worked on the same topic for the 4 weeks. So it was really cool because we could see all of the growth they had made. And then they filled out an exit survey too, to see how we wanted to see how they were feeling about their writing. So our intervention results. So overall, we saw that the intervention process did work. We didn't make as much growth as we had anticipated, but we have a few areas that we saw tremendous growth in. One of the biggest areas we saw growth in was transitions. From the beginning, a lot of the essays we had, Miss Alana, I think it's at 8. No, I'm doing a presentation. Yeah, right now. Yeah, that's okay. Like another 10 minutes. Sure. Okay, thanks. Bye. Thank you. So the biggest area we saw a growth in was transitions. We had the students really made a lot of growth in that area from the beginning to the end. Beginning of essays, we didn't see any transitions on a lot of the essays. But by week 4, each paragraph had those transition words, whether that be, something simple as first, next, last, or, more complex. We also saw a big change in just the overall. Overall, the writing was much better. And then there's spelling, and we attribute that to really spelling changing in from peer editing. Students were really good at catching each other's, spelling and punctuation mistakes. That's really what they focused on. When we look at their essay scores, overall 67% of the class had a positive grade. And we had hoped this would be higher. And so we had some students that had either a negative difference or no difference at all. And some of our questions were, well, can we attribute this to it being a cloud-based application? And so when we get into looking at the reason for why these students didn't make that, that's one of the areas we wanted to look at was, well, had we done pen to paper, would we have seen more growth out of those students rather than just doing a digital application? So for our survey results, we had a positive growth. The students really felt good about having their peers look at their writing, and these are some of the areas that they felt good. They felt that they were good writers. Their teachers considered them to be good writers. They felt like they were getting good grades in writing. They were happy with the grades they were receiving. That they could outline an argumentative essay. That was huge for us because at the beginning, most of the students said they did not know how to do an outline on an argumentative essay. They didn't know how it was structured. But after they did. Do others say that I'm a good writer? I care that the important people in my life think that I am a good writer. And so we really felt that the self-advocacy of our students was positively impacted. So our recommendations for further research is that we really wanted to focus on they call it the lead. So that beginning hook, topic, paragraph, we felt like our students really could use some more support in that. Also, conclusions was another area we wanted to focus on. And then looking at cloud-based application, is that something that affected those students who didn't make that growth that we wanted to see? Had we done more of a traditional pen and paper, would we see a different result? So thank you so much for coming to my presentation. I really appreciate it. Thank you.